Question marks stretched across his skin. She tangles carrots, makes you feel embarrassed to be. In the 90s, I was very anti-stool. It's like, they wanted to put people with acoustic guitars on stools all the time in the 90s. A lot of candles. You won't see me on a stool in the 90s. There's no picture of me on a stool. Times have changed. This is great to be here, and this is a movie we filmed was it in 2000 or something like that? Almost 25 years ago. And cool, so I'm excited to see it too. And this is that song was probably my most Beatles song, and I remember Elliott and I, we always had planned to have a Beatles club. We were going to do it every Wednesday night in the house. We never got to do it, but maybe we should bring it back, bring the idea back. This is a song that I wrote probably around the exact time we were making this movie. I was nursing a broken heart, and it's called The Golden Age.
Hesitation.
Yes.
Repeat the question.
Repeat the question. Repeat it.
Oh, he
said, was there any...
He asked if there was any hesitation for Elliott to make Strange Parallel.
Okay, so Elliott came, no. I got a call that there were 3 directors being considered to do a promo film for Elliott, and it was Ross, and it was Gus Van Sant and me, and Ross had already directed 2 of Elliott's videos, and Gus Van Sant had done the movie that Elliott got nominated for the Oscar for, so I thought, like, I'm not getting this job, and then I just wrote a real surreal idea of like him digging up the guitar in the woods, and then I got a call like, he wants you to do it. And so then they flew me to Oregon to meet with him. He's like, he wants to meet with you, and I was like, so we're gonna do a documentary, right? And he's like, no, I don't like to do documentary. I want it to be fucked up. And
Called the right person.
we were at this restaurant called Satyricon, like a punk rock bar where they have bands and they have food. And we were there in the afternoon, and we got to talking about, it was named after a Fellini movie, and we got to talk about Fellini, and then I was like, well, you know, I love the movie 8½ by Fellini. It has a lot of dream sequences. Maybe you could write down some of your dreams. And he was like, you know what, that's my favorite movie. And I was like, okay, well, let's do this. And he was like, I can't remember any dreams. And so then, like, you know, I had him explain every song on XO for me, what they were all about. And they were all kind of about this intervention he had that some people in his management and so on and so forth had an intervention on him. And a lot of the songs were like anti-intervention. And so the next day, he picked me up from the hotel to take me back to the airport, and he's like, I had a bunch of dreams last night. And so we went to Starbucks and we wrote them all down, and like on napkins, you know, Elliott Smith style, and he writes all the songs on napkins, you know. He does all his writing on napkins, you know, like we're at Starbucks, like writing these shit. He was telling me I was writing, he was writing. And then I went back home and I wrote up the script, and you know, I called the label guy called me, Luke Wood, and he said, hey, you know, so you're gonna do the documentary? And I was like, well, we're not doing a documentary. And he was like, okay. And I was like, told him about the dreams, and I was like, I'm gonna mix in as much documentary as we can. And he was like, okay, that's all I want. So we flew to Oregon to start filming. Well, that was when I wrote the treatment and then they gave me the budget. It wasn't, I shot a ridiculous, surreal movie with a, supposedly make a documentary. Somebody said that online, so I'm kind of mad about that. It was actually, Elliott wanted it to be fucked up, and so I work for Elliott Smith, you know. So there's the answer. Does that work?
In this quality?
Actually, they don't look good online. It only looks good here. I prepared this for screenings.
Only here.
It doesn't look good online. It's standard def and stuff. I've done a lot of work to get it to where we could screen it here. It took about a month, but I can't. I don't want to put it online. Actually, I don't own the film. It's owned by DreamWorks and George Harrison and Rachmaninoff. You know, so, I can show it.
Rachmaninoff.
I can show it in little stages like this, but I can't just put it online. I mean, a lot of people just rip it off and put it online, but those are all like crummy versions. And anyway, thank you.
How was it made?
I was just talking about this with someone up there. So our good friend Eddie Lopez made the Molotron. Eddie did the sculpture for Beck's Mellow Gold, the robot on the front, and he's made a lot of famous cars from the movies and stuff, and he made that, and probably years after we did the film, it had been like sitting in my backyard and it was getting pretty beat up. So I asked Eddie to work on it a little bit. And then he had a disagreement with his landlord, and his landlord threw everything out into the streets. So the Molotron really is missing. It's somewhere on the streets of Los Angeles. So it could be out in front of the theater right now. We have no idea. So.
Talk about favorite movies or like influences for film?
Yeah, Fellini 8.5. We both said it was our favorite movie, and then that inspired the treatment for Strange Parallel. But yeah, that one.
Very cool.
Yeah, I don't think I talked to Elliott too much about film, mostly about music. But yeah, he was a big, surrealist fan, and he liked. I mean, he was just a super funny guy, and that's the main purpose of like that film, and really kind of any of the stuff that we did, posthumously with Elliott, is we're just trying to get people to see that he's like really wasn't this doomed poet type person. He was just like super like surreal and sarcastic and very dry sense of humor, and just really super fun person to be around.
The reason why everybody was wearing costumes in Strange Parallel was Elliott insisted on it. He called everybody before I showed up and he was like, you're gonna, like, I think you should wear something crazy. And then, Larry and Joanna were like, we're gonna dress up like they did at the Abbey Road studio with like lab coats. And then, Sam Coombs had that crazy like skeleton suit on, and like I didn't ask for any of those costumes. He was just like, he would just make everything surreal too, like, I mean, he wrote all those dreams, and like he wrote them down. I mean, he had them, but he wrote them down, and we put them all in. I mean, we had to change some of them, like when we were in New York and stuff, because we didn't have enough budget to do like the stuff that was in his dreams, so we would just
He had
make
very high budget dreams for sure.
kind of low budget like versions of his dreams, and that kind of made it funny, and he was fine with that.
I have a funny story about Steve came to direct Strange Parallel, because I had done a couple of videos with Elliott. I'd done Coming Up Roses and Miss Misery. And so, like Steve said, it was Steve and me and Gus Von Sant, I guess, were considered to do this film. And right around that time, Steve came to visit me, and I was in the process of moving my kids' bunk beds. And I was like, Steve, help me move these bunk beds. They were like built into the wall. And he was helping me, and in the process, Steve ended up ripping out the phone line to my house. It was back in the landline days. And so I had no phone service for like a week till I could get the phone company to back. And during that time was when they were calling Steve and Gus Van Sant and me to ask about doing the film. So by the time I got the phone service back on, Steve had already gotten the movie. But I didn't feel bad because honestly, Steve was the right person for the film, and he was much more competent documentarian, and he really just did a great job. But it was pretty funny though when he came to my house and he's like, "Can you be in the movie and be a robot hand salesman?" And I was like, "All right, at least I got a little part in it." So it all worked out. Oh yeah.
And then I had to talk him into it.
Yeah, I had to get talked into it, I guess.
It was like a great little time capsule there. I guess two questions. One was with the dialing of the phone book. Was it really like that? Like, how far off? Because we don't have that experience.
You know what? It's not true, Southlander. I mean, we did have a music scene where like everybody was playing gigs for money and stuff, and it's not true that people were ripping stuff off. None of us stole anything from each other. It was like, that was like a plot device, because we were like, Ross and I were super into like exploitation films.
It just made it more interesting. But I think he's asking, like, did you really look up
was
people
it
in the
really
phone
like
book?
that? Like,
Yeah.
there was a recycler where like all musicians would call. There was no internet, and everybody would call each other. And like the part where Beck is like punking that guy, punking Rory, or punking Chance on the phone is kind of like from a prank phone call. People used to do prank phone calls like, bring the KY and shit. He was referencing that. It was so fucking funny. Anyway, thanks to Beck for freestyling that line. If you're still here.
Beck was.
Just freestyling that. Oh, actually,
Yeah.
I was feeding him lines through the headphones the whole time. And then he would change them and like add to it and stuff. Like,
It was good.
we had the script, it was like loosely written, like it was only like 10 pages when we first wrote it, and then. But anyway, yeah, it's kind of like supposed to be wacky and not supposed to be very realistic, although.
But a lot of those things
One-
happen.
One
though.
story that's real is the whole mother-child story.
That all really happened to me.
Most of it is real. It happened to Ross. Was a movie star when he was a kid. You know, he was in Airplane. He was in like Testament. You know, like big-time movies, #1 movies. And
I'm a big deal.
so when he was like a teenager, he was in Vegas, and like this crazy story happened to him. It was basically the part of the mother-child story, not the whole thing.
I didn't get shot, but everything else happened. Yeah. I was making a film in Las Vegas when I was 18, and a friend asked me to go to he might not even be still alive, so I guess I can blow up his spot. But the lead singer of the soul band, the Spinners, and I go there, and it turns out that my friend wanted to sleep with the lead singer of the Spinners' girlfriend. So they went to go do that, and they left me in the living room, and then the lead singer of the Spinners came home, and then he made me drink a glass of vodka by gunpoint. And then we smoked PCP. And then we ended up at Denny's.
Ross had he woke up. I remember this story because that's why I was like, we gotta put that story in this film. He was like, I woke up in a plate of pancakes and sausages, face first. And they put on Suspicious Minds in the diner in Vegas. And I took the sausage and I jumped on the stage and I started singing. And like the spinners guy was all stoked and everything. And everybody in Vegas got all stoked and they were dancing and stuff.
Yeah.
Because he was hilarious, you know.
And
It was pretty hilarious.
I was only 18 years old. Up on stage in 20, 30 years. So.
Not to be too serious, but first of all, I enjoyed both movies. A lot of those were for me. What is your guys' opinion, or if you guys have any stories on bravery as a new artist or someone who doesn't have a very large portfolio? How would you? What was your first move into making a big decision on like getting into whatever scene you guys were in? Like how would you guys? What advice would you give on bravery?
Well, to be an artist, yeah, you have to be pretty brave because you have to, you know, basically put your whole, you know, soul and heart and everything out there. Yeah, and it's just really like, just, you know, it's hard to do it alone. You got to do it with friends. Like I've been doing stuff with this guy for decades, and we all, you know, we all met, you know, at the same time when we were just kind of coming out. I mean, we met Beck and met everybody just when we were all just, you know, trying to get it going. And yeah, it's just really about building a community and then just stay with it. I mean, it's just, you never know how long things are going to take, and eventually, you know, after a while you realize, wow, I actually built up a body of work that I'm proud of, and yeah, just stay with it for sure.
Thank you.
Have Robosaurus?
All right, so Robosaurus, this is a pretty good story. So I went to a Halloween party in Camarillo, California, and Robosaurus was there. And I was like, I'd like that to be in a movie. So I met the guy that owned and operated Robosaurus, and I got his phone number. And then when we were writing the movie, we just decided to put Robosaurus in because we knew Robosaurus. But it's a funny thing. So the person that shot Southlander is Lance Accord, probably one of the greatest modern DPs. He shot Lost in Translation and Being John Malkovich and Marie Antoinette. I mean, and he's a great friend of ours, and he acquiesced to do Southlander. And two things we had to break to him was we weren't going to be shooting on film, we were going to be shooting on video. He accepted that. And then at one point, our producer came in, right when we were breaking it to him that we couldn't shoot on film, our producer came in and said, there's a scheduling conflict and it looks like we might not be able to get Robosaurus. And Lance is like, I quit. He's like, I'm out. And we're like, we laughed, like you just laughed, and he's like, no, I'm serious. I'm doing the film for Robosaurus. So our producer saw pretty quickly that we had to make Robosaurus work.
The most expensive actor, right? He was like,
oh yeah, by far.
$23,000 or something.
Yeah, most of the budget was
Most of our
Robosaurus,
budget.
yeah. But if we lost him, we were going to lose Lance Accord, so it was just like, had to do it. And it kicks ass. It was a good part of the movie.
Thank you, Regent.
So can you tell us about the high budget versions of his dreams, and how many dreams roughly do you remember were in the film?
They're all in there. I can't remember what we did. I'm sorry.
Think really hard.
Okay, well, it was a big hospital. And
Make
there
some
was
shit up.
a big room with a lot of people looking down, and like one of those operation rooms where there has like a bunch of surgeons, and it's like a big hospital set.
Okay.
That was one of them. And then Jason, our sound man, was like, why don't we just get some Rastas to like do it? And like Elliott was like, oh, that sounds perfect. So
Hell yeah.
we found some dudes with some dreads and they did some fake Jamaican accents. We couldn't find any actual Jamaicans. We were just like walking around New York City trying to do that scene, but so that was one of them. I can't really remember.
Okay, well, if it comes back to you, can you tell us?
They're mostly, all the dreams are in there, they're just kind of stripped down. That's all.
Thank you.
Hey, we got a question over here.
Hey, Ross, did you have to clear that George Harrison song?
Yeah, he said that's why they can't show the film online.
It was clear, the film Strange Parallel was made for TV actually, and it showed on television all through 98 and 99 on A&E and a bunch of channels on cable. And so...
And is there a Sukiya reunion?
Yeah.
Sukiya never broke up.
And these questions are coming from Money Mark, who's one of the great musicians of our age, on his own and with the Beastie Boys. So I think the question should be for him. Let's hear it from Money Mark. Thanks for everything you've done, man.
Any more questions? My friend DJ Swamp and like it was really hard to work with the shitty camera they made us use. Like I was like, wait, it's over $100,000 budget. I can shoot this on 16mm like I did Strange Parallel. And they're like, no, you got to use this standard def video camera. And I was like, oh. And then I went to this set of a Beck video, and I saw Lance Accord was shooting it, and I was like, hey, will you shoot my feature? You know, Propaganda's going bankrupt, and I have a contract. They have to do a feature for me, so I wanted you to shoot my feature. And he was like, okay, cool. You're shooting on film, right? And I was like, I just totally lied. I was like, yeah, he was like 35, and I was like, yeah, we're gonna shoot on 35. Because it was back then when everybody shot films on film. And not like now. And so Lance came to the meeting, and then they were like, he was like, so we're gonna shoot on film. I want this Airflex and stuff for the shoot. And they were like, who told you that? And it was me. So I got stuck with that. And then like we had an anamorphic lens. It was just a piece of plastic because we wanted to like transfer it to film when we were done.
It looked great.
And it just kind of made it, the focusing really hard, and some scenes didn't come out, a lot of them. And that Dick Dubin one didn't come out.
What happened to Dada Munchie Monkey?
Dada Munchie Monkey, Eddie Rouchet Jr. did a lot of the score of the
He did the
film.
whole score.
Yeah, and he's still making music.
No, there's a little tiny Dada Munchie Monkey in Southlander.
He's
Oh,
in
wow.
there, didn't you hear it? Jason says to the machine.
But he appeared.
Yeah, but now we have
We're
him in
getting heckled
sound.
now.
We have him in audio. Remember, he said to the machine, you're not supposed to play on the break, and the machine said, no. That was Munchie Monkey.
Kind of Star Wars style, like a little tiny guy.
No, we don't like Star Wars. Fuck Star Wars. That's bullshit.
Hey, I have a good anecdote about what he said about the company was going bankrupt. So the company really did go bankrupt, and we lost the film, and we weren't going to get to be able to put it out. So we were, rather, dismayed by this. And probably like a year or so went by, we couldn't get a hold of anybody from the company. And one day I was going to go visit my music entertainment lawyer for a different thing, and I got off on the wrong floor, and I went to what I thought was his door, and I look and it says Propaganda Films. And I'm like, okay, this is not where they were located before, and this is a pretty crummy building, because my lawyer was kind of a, budget lawyer. So So I open the door and there's a guy in there and he's completely surrounded by boxes and boxes and boxes, and he just has a desk with a pot of coffee. And I said, "Is this propaganda films?" And he goes, "Yeah, I guess." I said, "What are you doing in here?" And he goes, "Well, I just gotta sit in here for like 3 years, and then we're gonna incinerate everything in the room." And I said, "You know, I made a film with propaganda films. It might be in one of these boxes." And he goes, "Yeah, maybe." I said, "Hey, my lawyer is 1 floor up. If I knock on your ceiling, he'll hear it. Can we go up there and talk to him?" And he let out like the longest sigh. And he's like, "Just 1 floor up?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Well, I guess I'd be kind of a dick if I didn't go up there." And he went up there with me, and that's how we were able to save the film. It really wasn't in the box.
I have a couple questions. Is there going to be a DJU, DJB reunion? And is there going to be a liquor cabinet reunion?
There we go.
Is Claire here?
I don't know if we're gonna do. Oh, Claire's right there. Yeah,
liquor
we can do it
cabinet.
tonight. I think every
No liquor cabinet reunion. None. Sukiya never broke up.
I think we have, when Beck was here, we had almost every member, and Martha was here, so we had almost every member of Loser. Yeah. You, Beck, Martha, who else? What was it, Lisa, isn't it?
Yeah.
He doesn't know. The answer is no, we don't know. We're not getting anything back together, I guess.
We're doing new bands.
All right, well, thanks you guys for coming. Fantastic.